Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to Adam's Music Box, where today is a day of reflection, a very sad day, and also a happy birthday that happened to happen on the same day and involves two people whose musical lives and evolutions were very much connected. I suppose I'll start with the sad news, and this is the death at the age of 78 of David Sanborn, one of the great saxophonists of all time. And that's an understatement. And then the second event is fortunately a happy event, and that is the 73rd birthday of the great keyboardist, pianist, organist, Ronnie Foster. Now, both of these men took jazz fusion forward, and they did so by being tasteful and virtuosic simultaneously. That was something that they had in common. They also had other things in common. They both played on George Benson's records in the 70s. They played with him live, and they played on the album pictured behind me. The Change of Heart LP from the late 80s was a David Sanborn album, and Ronnie Foster was on the album. Let's switch to the happy news about Ronnie Foster, who keeps grooving and keeps doing his thing. Immensely talented, endlessly tasteful. Listen to just any of his solo albums and be blown away. It's the kind of music that people just want to hear. It's music for people, but not at the expense of virtuosity, and even not at the expense of experimentation. The track Cheshire Cat, for instance, what an album. I believe that was from the album of the same name, indeed, Cheshire Cat, and that was on Blue Note from 1975. And all of his solo albums are great. All of his collaborations were great. Now, David Sanborn is someone who began his career in the 70s with so many collaborations. There's a shorter list of people he didn't play with, so I'm just going to read off some of them. Of course, there was George Benson, and Ronnie Foster and David Sanborn obviously shared that. He played alongside the great Randy Brecker. He played with one of my very favorite musicians, Idris Muhammad. He played on Talking Book, Stevie Wonder. He played with people of all genres, rock, for instance, Todd Rundgren, Cat Stevens, David Bowie. Jeff Beck, who was a bit of everything, Tommy Boland's album Teaser. We talked about him a while ago. He played with Jaco Pastorius and Bruce Springsteen, Elton John and Larry Coryell, David Clayton Thomas of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and Dr. John of New Orleans. He played with the Eagles. He played with Steely Dan on Gaucho. The list goes on. Al Jarreau, Steve Cann, wonderful musician in his own right. And I really think that in many ways, the solo career of David Sanborn hit stride in the 1980s. He was able to make hits with instrumental music that went not only on the jazz charts, but on the pop charts. He was on David Letterman, and Letterman's People just posted a clip of him. Now, what does it mean to celebrate life and death simultaneously? It can mean different things to different people. There's religious significance, there's spiritual and emotional significance. But because this is a music channel, I want to focus on the musical significance. Music is many things, but it really is about bringing love into the world and projecting it in the form not of words that are spoken, not in the form of a touch that we might feel, but in the form of sound waves. And luckily, thanks to the advent of recorded sound, those can be captured and preserved forever. And so, whilst we mourn the death, which was, at least in my world, very unexpected, of David Sanborn, and celebrate the life and love of Ronnie Foster, it really is interesting that music ultimately is about sharing this love and sharing this collaboration. And they, on more than a few occasions, did collaborate with each other. And of course, they both collaborated with so many other great people. Ronnie Foster, for instance, not only with George Benson, but with Grant Green, who we talked about just the other day on the list of greatest guitar players, much like David Sanborn. He also, Ronnie Foster, played on a Stevie Wonder album, another instant classic, Songs in the Key of Life. He played with another great saxophonist, Grover Washington. He played with Michael Jackson and the Jacksons, rather. So many, Stanley Turrentine, one of the great musicians of all time. And so when you look at all of the great collaborations of these two, you really see that music is about sharing. It's about talking to each other when you're on stage or in a recording studio and projecting those emotions, projecting that art to the world. It's about collaborating in the sense that artists, whether they knew each other and collaborated the way that David Sanborn and Ronnie Foster did, or when they didn't, they have other collaborations on a record shelf, on a Spotify or Apple or whatever playlist in our memories, seeing maybe one live on a Monday or one live on a Tuesday. These are all of the things that music gives us when we look at it in this sense. And whilst it's never easy to say goodbye to anyone, most people don't have a record of the love they gave. Maybe photos in a family album, but musicians have that record, at least those born in the 20th century or after. They have these recordings, and they will luckily live on forever. At times, their popularity will increase, at others decrease, but they will always be there. And because we love music, I, for one, think we should evangelize it. That's why, among other reasons, I started this channel, because I want to bring music that you might not have heard of to whoever might see this on this new channel. And I also want to remind people, oh, I've got that album on the shelf. I've got that in my Spotify playlist. I haven't listened to it in 2 weeks, 2 months, or 2 years. I'm going to listen to it today. And that's a great feeling. It's what people like Rick Beato do. It's what so many people in this YouTube, internet, online universe do. So with that, I want to offer my love and condolences to the memory of David Sanborn, and of course, blessings and happiness to Ronnie Foster. Strange that these two events coincided, but that's the way of the world. We will see you next time. Take care.